Hello everyone and welcome back to the Houston Texans franchise. It's a scouting episode. I promised you'd be coming, and here it is. We're taking a look at many of the prospects, including Lewis Winter, a name I mentioned recently, a guy that I'm pretty interested in. He's got good throw power. He's a pretty good athlete all the way around, solid to good speed. Could end up being a really good quarterback. He is projected to go top 5. Currently, you know, with where we're at in terms of standings, we would land somewhere around there. Just to give you an idea, here's a list of the sort of team needs I think we have. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, center, right guard, right tackle, left end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, corner, kinda, because I want to, you know, like a number 2, I guess, for Derek Stingley, and then free safety is a big need. So a long list, basically the entire team. Another quarterback I was interested in here is Cameron McCullough. He is a bit better of an athlete actually than Lewis Winter. Just looks like he might struggle a little more maybe in the accuracy department. But looks like he could be really good. He's around 1 to 2 guys, so we could take him a little later if we end up not going with Lewis Winter. Obviously, that's assuming that we end up with a top 5 pick where we're in a position to take Lewis Winter anyway. But I do like Cameron McCullough quite a bit. Next guy on the list is Matt Glenn. He's a round 3 to 4 guy, more of a true pocket passer type. He's got the great to elite throw power. All we know so far is that he has the B short accuracy. So, you know, we know he'll be accurate short, just don't know where he'll be at otherwise. These are UDFA guys. It is not a deep quarterback class. Outside of the top 3 guys, there's really nobody else that is projected to go round 2 or higher. So yeah, not a super great quarterback class if we're looking to replace Davis Mills, which admittedly I am. That's why I'm taking a look at quarterback to begin with. Obviously, I mentioned Jake Price in either the previous episode or the episode before. But yeah, that's the quarterback class. It's not great, but there's a couple pretty solid guys. Moving down our list of needs to wide receiver. I'm not crazy about this wide receiver class either. All in all, not crazy about this whole draft class after having looked over it myself. Number 1 wide receiver is Russell Bolden. He's not fast for, you know, being 6'5", which obviously being huge is really nice, but not great. Devontae Stewart looks pretty good. He's got the great to elite jumping, great to elite strength, but again, not particularly fast. One thing you'll learn about me is that I'm a really big fan of absolutely massive wide receivers. Like, I'm trying to find the next Megatron, right? I want a big, fast wide receiver. That's what I'm after. So Russell Bolden looks like he could be pretty good though. Although I'm not sure if I am looking to take a wide receiver in the first round, and that's sort of where he would fall. Moving on to Greg Hilliard, another 6'5" guy, only marginal to decent speed though. So you'll probably see me move on pretty quickly here. Like I said, looking for a Megatron type of guy, very big wide receiver with elite speed. I'd even take good speed, honestly. Thomas Knighton, 6'3", so he's actually a little shorter, but again, a little slow. Miles Fisher out of Colorado State, he is 6'4", marginal to decent speed though, really pretty slow. And we don't really know much about him outside of that. Mac Miller is a wide receiver that you just saw. Jamal Freeman, again, just marginal to decent speed. Basically, everyone in this draft class was slow. Oscar Lewis, solid to good speed. A little more interested in that immediately. C medium, C release, and C spec catch. Day 3 guy, that's not bad whatsoever. I added him to the board. He's 6'3" out of Oregon. Eric Black, I took a look at next. Solid to good speed. He's only 6'1". He does have B short route running and C medium route running, only the D release, so it looks like he's more of like a short route specialist type of guy, but he seems all right. Chris Avery is an interesting one. He's a day 3 projection, but he's got solid to good speed at 6'5". I think he could end up being pretty good. Kevin Cooks, obviously you got to replace the Cooks with the Cooks, as we just traded Brandon Cooks. Yeah, not fantastic from Kevin Cooks, not terrible though. I'll go ahead and add him to the board. None of these day 3 guys really were piquing my interest, and now we're on to the potential UDFAs. Ben Durham is interesting. He does have great to elite speed. He's only 5'8", so he's really small, but I'm always interested in guys who are fast. Rodney Blackwell has good to great speed with A, spec catch, and B, catching. C, short route running isn't super ideal, but he looks like he could actually be pretty good. He's 5'11", so a little shorter, but quite a bit bigger than the other gentleman we were looking at. Now we're sort of going through the shorter guys. Damon Holcomb looks like he could actually be pretty good. D, short route running isn't ideal, but it looks like he might be a deep threat with good spec catch. So he's interesting. I didn't add him to the board, though. Thomas Knighton, round 2 to 3 projected guy. B, spec catch, C, deep, C, medium. Here's a look at Mac Miller, the wide receiver. Mac Miller looks terrible, to be honest. D, catching, D, release, D, short route running. And he's not particularly big or fast, just all around does not look good. Here's a look at Clyde Rosenberg out of Michigan. He's got great to elite speed. He's a little shorter as well. I believe he's only 5'10 or 5'11, but he does have the B spec catch and B deep route running. He seems like he could be a deep threat. I actually really like Clyde Rosenberg. I like anyone who's fast, so we'll definitely add him to the board. Moving on to the tight end position, there's actually quite a bit of depth here at tight end in this draft. The number 1 tight end by a decent margin is PJ Bowman, and he's a good all-around athlete. Definitely not going to be much of a blocker. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about his sort of receiving statistics, but I'm betting he's going to be quite good. John Saunders is the only other guy that could potentially go round 1, according to, obviously, these projections we're seeing. He does have great to elite jumping and good to great speed. Not quite as strong, but does have, it looks like he may have higher sort of blocking stats just based on that B run block that we can see. Emmett Tiller is who we're going to look at next. Good all-around athlete again. A, pass blocking with B, impact blocking. Definitely looks like he'd be a great blocking tight end. And once again, don't know really anything about his sort of receiving stats there. Stephon Streets is absolutely massive. 6'5", 270 pounds with B, short route running and A, catch in traffic. I like Stephon Streets a lot. And like I said, he is enormous. Emmett Gentry is the next one on the list. Good athlete all around. All these tight ends seem to be pretty good athletes. He's got the C deep route and the B spec catch. Add him to the board. Ramon Leonard is the next one down the list. Another good athlete all the way around. And don't know a lot about him, to be honest. Can't really judge him based off of that. But he is 6'5", and I you know, who doesn't like a huge tight end? Adam Spear, great name. He's got great speed, and then he's got the B run blocking, but F deep route running. Looks like he's going to be more of a true blocking style tight end. And we are already down to those potential UDFAs. Moving on to center, which is the next big need for us. Ethan O'Neill. There's literally 3 draftable guys in the center class. They're all not good. Ethan O'Neill is the best one, and he only has marginal to decent strength. Looks like he's got decent blocking stats, though, so we could go after him and hope to improve his strength statistic. Not terrible, but not ideal by any means. Tucker Clinton is the next one on the board. He's got decent to solid strength, so it looks like he's probably a little stronger. Also, he had great to elite agility, which is nice. Definitely looks like he's going to end up being a little bit better of a pass blocker than a run blocker, which is, you know, he still looks okay. And then the last, I guess, what you would consider a air quotes draftable guy is DJ Sheldon. He does have the A impact blocking, but the D pass block and C pass block power. Obviously, don't really know anything about his run block stat, but he could be okay. Hard to say for sure. And then we'll take a look at Carson Hawkins, one of those UDFAs. Good to great strength is interesting. A lead block and A impact blocking with B awareness. Potential UDFA, that's, sign me up for that. I mean, obviously we'll learn a lot more about him, but that looks like it could be really, really interesting. Terrell Jackson is another guy I looked at. Absolutely terrible, especially with that F stamina. Jack Mellon, another great name. I'd love to add the Mellon to my team. Poor to marginal strength. I'm not interested. Moving on to right guard, the number 1 guy in the right guard category is Ken Carter. Great to elite strength, A impact, A run block, C pass block though, but looks like he could be really, really good. Juan Mixon is the next right guard on the board. 6'5", 334. Pretty big, honestly, out of Georgia. Great to elite strength. C run block, finesse, B pass block. Looks like he could be pretty good, honestly. Not quite as good as Ken Carter, but definitely up there. Paul Malone out of LSU is the next right guard on the draft board. Only solid to good strength, so a little bit of a downgrade there. F lead block isn't great for a right guard as somebody who might be pulling. John Duckworth, another great name. Decent to solid strength, but he does have the A pass block and A awareness. And a C run block is not terrible. He seems pretty good. I'll add him to the board. Jesse Robertson, solid to good strength there. Honestly, decent all-around athlete. Looks like he's not great, to be honest. And we're moving on to right tackle. Nick Green is considered a top 5 prospect at the right tackle position. He's got great to elite strength. He's got B pass block, A run block power. Nick Green looks like he could be an absolute stud at the right tackle position, which is something that we really need. We do have Laramie Tunsil, obviously, on the left side. But yeah, to have a right tackle that's also very good. Speaking of very good, Tito Soto looks really good. Tyler Hooker looks like he's pretty good. Only the marginal to decent strength, though. But those blocking stats are really, really nice. Obviously, strength is something you can improve on at least. Clifton Bentley is 6'7", absolutely massive. Great to elite strength. The D run block finesse, my guess is he's going to be a bad finesse blocker. Torrey McMullen is the next one. These guys are all round 1 talents, by the way. It's pretty deep at right tackle. I don't know if we'll end up with one of these guys from the first round, as I do feel like Titus Howard, our current right tackle, is not too bad. So it's not the biggest need in the world, but it will be in the future. So I'm just sort of trying to get ahead of it. Damian Cooper looks really, really good. I'm going to add him to the list out of Florida. And now moving on to left end. So we've got Isaiah Butler is the top left end, and he's a round 3 to 4 guy. So, I mean, it's going to be slim pickings. At left end, obviously, we could look at a right end, and they could easily be moved to left end. So none of these left ends are going to be particularly impressive, although Chris Sheffield doesn't look terrible for being a day 3 guy at all. Aiden Stanford is another guy, solid to good strength, with solid to good speed. C finesse moves, C play rec, C tackle. I mean, another guy that's like day 3, not bad whatsoever. Matthew Weston, he does have good to great speed, but not ideal strength. Does have the A stamina and B finesse moves, though. Again, not bad for day 3. I'll keep saying it. And then the last sort of draftable guy at left end is Randall Covington. He's got B power moves and C block shedding. Not terrible at all, especially considering where he's at in the draft class. We'll take a peek at right end as well, as obviously we can just move one of them to left end, but I'm planning to stick with Jonathan Grenard pretty long term. Lance Childers is pretty high up there on the right end class. In fact, he's projected to go top 5. I don't know if he's necessarily worthy of a top 5 pick. Ross Callaway seems quite good. F finesse moves, but he might be a power guy. So, you know, F and S moves obviously a little concerning, but if he is truly a power guy, he could be pretty good. Does have the good to great strength, or sorry, great to elite strength and good to great speed. William Gary, good to great speed, solid to good strength. A pursuit, A impact blocking. I don't know why they show that for right ends. Like for some reason they're good at blocking, but William Gary, good at blocking. So if we ever need to move him to the other side of the ball, we can do that. Glenn Kendricks, D hit power, C pursuit, C play rec. Just don't know a lot about these guys right now, to be honest with you. Just sort of have to hope that we know one of the pass rushing sort of statistics or rankings to even get a gauge of how good they are. Frank Allen has B finesse moves and C power moves. If for some reason didn't add him to the board, I'm sure that I'll go back and add him, because that's not bad at all for a day 3 right end. Luke Ayers wasn't really interesting. And then we're to the potential UDFA guys. Jordan Hogan actually doesn't look terrible. Moving on now to defensive tackle. We've got Dion Bullard at round 1 to 2. He looks like he's actually pretty good athlete all around. B power moves, A play rec, C finesse moves. Yes, please. Dion Bullard out of TCU. Cole Mason, he's a good all around athlete. We only know B power moves. F injury really kind of stinks, to be honest with you. And I think that's probably why I passed on him. Brian Good, only decent to solid strength, but he has A power moves. Sign me up for that. Brian Good seems very good, and I hope to add him on my team. Nick Wilkins seems pretty decent. B power moves, C tackle. Yep, pretty good down the board are these D tackles. Trent Watford, I'm guessing. Is it Watford? Watford? C finesse moves. He might be a finesse rusher. Went ahead and passed on him for now. Brian Sanchez, good to great strength. C power moves and B tackling. Okay, Brian Sanchez. Armin Thompson is the next guy I looked at. Solid to good speed, solid to good strength. F power moves. Could be a finesse rusher though. That's the thing. It's hard to tell with these guys as we are so early on. Kyle Scott. I saw F block shedding and I immediately just did not want any part of that. Same thing with Garrison Waters and DeAndre Jones. Looks like for a day 3 guy, he might not be terrible. C power moves, C finesse moves, B tackle. I actually like him more than the first 2 guys that we just looked at. Obviously, it depends on what his block shedding is. Good to great speed here on Matthew Farrell. B finesse moves and C block shedding. Really good this late in the draft. Greg Frazier, F block shedding, but he does have the B finesse moves. But I imagine with that F block shedding, I will be moving on very quickly. Trevor Dudley out of Oklahoma State is another guy I looked at. Solid to good speed. B finesse moves, we don't know his block shedding yet, but hey, B or better this late in the draft, we're going to add that to the board. Move on to left outside linebacker here. Got a couple round 1 guys in Sean Easley and Bryce Clinton. They both look like they could be pretty good. We'll take a peek at Sean Easley first. Solid to good speed, good to great strength. I love a fast linebacker. B play rec, B tackle, D man coverage, which is fine. He's a rushing linebacker. We could always switch to like a 3-4 instead of the 4-3 that we're currently operating. Bryce Clinton, solid to good speed, solid to good strength, A play recognition, B tackling, B awareness. Bryce Clinton seems like he's probably very, very smart. We'll add him to the board. Tyrone Thompson is the next guy in the left outside linebacker. Kind of a mid athlete all around. In fact, he looks awful. I'm going to go ahead and move on from him. Nick Graves, another great name. Like, I would love to commentate these names. He just doesn't look great. But I'd love to have Graves put someone in the grave, like a huge hit or something. I think that'd be hilarious. Glenn Stevenson has B tackle. He's okay for a day 3 guy. Cameron Powell, and you got to consider that these day 3 guys are going to be quite a bit worse than those high round guys, right? So the expectations are a lot lower. Like some of these high round guys that I see, if it said day 3 instead of round 1, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. But the fact that they're round 1 and I see sort of where they're at makes me not want to take them, even though they could actually be a good player, which honestly might be a bad move by me. Raphael Hodges has B-man coverage, a good coverage linebacker possibly, but didn't add him to the board. Because I think I'm really looking for pass rushers more than anything. Nolan Watkins, though, day 3 guy with good coverages all the way around. We'll add him to the board. Kevin Reed has A pursuit. I mean, not terrible for a potential UDFA. Just don't know anything about him outside of that. He's not a finesse rusher. Could be a power rusher. Not really sure. Moving on to middle linebacker, which is definitely a little bit of a need for us. Less so than outside linebacker, I would say, as I am a fan of Christian Kirksey. But yeah, we'll take a peek at these middle linebackers. Justin Bayless seems like he's pretty good. I do like a fast coverage linebacker. It's great for a user, like good to great speed here on Antonio Rhodes. C play rec, C hit power. Just don't know much else outside of that, but he might be pretty good. Connor Rayford, solid to good speed, but he does have the C man coverage. B catching, which I feel like is high for a middle linebacker. Once again, just don't know a lot about him, and we'll learn more things as we go. Del Hill, good to great speed, C man coverage, C play rec. Only, dude, the F pursuit really, really hurts him a lot. Gabriel Generals is a guy who keeps getting draft stories, and I think he's just awful. He had a draft story. That's why he's moved so far up the boards. But yeah, he's just not a good player, in my opinion. Gabriel Clifford the big red dog. He's slow, bad play recognition, bad tackling. If you have bad tackling as a middle linebacker, I'm not going to draft you. That's not how that's going to work. Good to great speed here on Akeem McDonald. C power moves, interesting. Not seeming like a great middle linebacker though. Angelo Posey, Not super fast, but he does have the B block shedding and the A hit power. Yeah, sign me up for that. Anyone with an A and really any of those sort of major linebacker categories this late is going to get added to the board. Maxwell Peck is solid to good speed, solid to good strength. C zone coverage, C awareness, a day 3 guy that again might not be terrible. I'd want to see that man coverage before I really sign up for him. Right outside linebacker is next on the list. The number 1 right outside linebacker is Bernard Camp. He has good to great speed, solid to good strength, B block shedding, A play recognition, A pursuit. I like Bernard Camp a lot. Max Hebert is another round 1 guy. Looks like he's a little bit worse of an athlete, but does have similar sort of statistics and ratings there. Brandon Bush, he looks pretty good. Another round 1 guy, definitely not quite on the level of the 2 guys we looked at before. Darius Terry, marginal to decent speed, is not ideal, but he does have the B block shedding, so could be a decent pass rusher. Eddie Cousins, who I am going to say is the cousin of Kirk Cousins, has great to elite speed and looks like he could be a real monster. Stephon Garvin, we obviously liked Stephon Streets earlier. Why not add another Stephon? But I passed on him. Philip Barber, solid to good speed, D man coverage, B tackle. Again, just don't know things about him that I'd want to know. With these right outside linebackers, I'm really kind of looking for a pass rusher more than I am a coverage guy, as I think that we will probably switch to a 3-4 next season and use these outside linebackers as pass rushers. Alani Hutton was next. Great to elite speed for him. F man coverage, but C finesse moves. The great to elite speed got me. I'm adding him to the board. Plus, he's huge. Brett Fullerton, solid to good speed. B zone coverage, B pursuit, B tackle. Seems like a true sort of coverage linebacker. He's a guy we could move to middle linebacker if we do end up going with a rush linebacker setup. Gabe LeClaire seems like a pretty good athlete for a potential UDFA. B pursuit, C man coverage. Not terrible, actually. Moving on now to corner. I talked briefly about Juan Milstead in a previous episode, I believe, but I think he looks absolutely terrible for being a top 5 projection. I mean, C man and C play rec. We don't know a lot about him, but he's not fast either. He's just tall. That's all he has going for him. I added him to the board just because I think that there is possibly more to see from him. But yeah, not crazy impressed. I like Ramon McDonald actually quite a bit more than Juan Milstead. Lamar Stark even. I mean, I know we didn't get to see Juan Milstead's zone rating, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think Juan Milstead is worth a top 5 pick. Ronell Stuckey looks absolutely terrible. He was slow and he had terrible coverage and terrible play recognition. Will Osgood is a little faster. He does have A catching, C tackle, C man. I mean, just not impressed by really a lot of these guys. Braden Elston, we took a look at, decent to solid speed. C press, C man, C tackle, just mid the whole way around. Julian Claxton, marginal to decent speed, F play rec, and D zone coverage. Goodness, get that out of my sight. Matt Jackson is slow and bad. Oh, this corner class is killing me. Daryl Hutchins, maybe, you know, he can turn things around. Okay, good to great speed. F play rec, but he does have the C press and C man. He'd definitely be a bit of a project. He's also quite tall, 6'2". Justin Lennon is 6'3" out of USC. He's only got marginal to decent speed. Does have A tackling, but only D zone coverage. B awareness. I feel like A tackling on a corner is pretty rare. Normally, I feel like the corners aren't super great at tackling. I went ahead and added him to the board. Sean Johns, which is such a funny name. He's a terrible player, though. Moving on from him. Danny Jenkins. Let's see what he's got. Solid to good speed. I can deal with that. C-man, but D-zone with the B tackling. Just don't know a ton about him. Doesn't seem like he's terrible, though, so I'll add him to the board. Tremont Redmond. Marginal to decent speed. B catching. I'm just not interested. Devon Bridge. Poor to marginal speed. No thank you. Rashard Fox, round 3 of 4 guy, solid to good speed. B press, C man, only D play recognition. Definitely more of a project is Rashard Fox, but better than a lot of the previous guys I've looked at. Marquise Roberts, nope. And moving on to free safety, not really a whole lot of depth here as far as I can remember. I mean, look at all these potential UDFAs. There's like 6 draftable guys. Sammy Carson is the highest rated one. Solid to good speed is nice. B man coverage, B tackling. Sammy Carson looks like he could actually be pretty good. Cam Owens, he's got decent to solid speed, so a decent bit slower. B pursuit and only D man coverage. Rodney Middlebrooks is the next guy here on the list. Marginal to decent speed. We don't like slow players here at the Houston Texans front office. So, you know, moving on. Ron Greenwood, marginal to decent speed again. B hit power, C man, D zone. DeMar Young. He's got solid to good speed and great to elite strength. B tackling, but only D stamina. Yeah, definitely going to move on from him. Taj Lowry is the last draftable guy at free safety. And I mean, not good. We took a look at strong safety just because we can always move him over to free safety if we decide to draft one. Delroy Hankins looks like he's actually pretty good. B man coverage with B play recognition. Decent to solid speed isn't super ideal, but he's not terrible. Greg Griffin, which, say that 5 times fast, is not super easy for some reason. A block shedding as a strong safety. He might be playing the wrong position. Neville McCain, rather. Solid to good speed. Seems like a really good athlete. B man coverage, B awareness, B tackle. Good all around. Neville McCain. Tremaine Newman was the next one on the list. Not as good of an athlete. D man coverage, but he'd probably be in zone most of the time anyway. Brandon Roper. He's only got marginal to decent speed. B block shedding, B hit power. What's up with the strong safeties having a really good block shedding? I didn't know that was sort of a safety statistic. F play recognition from a safety is an immediate no-go. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, we'll take a quick look at sort of the top projected quarterbacks again. And then we've got Tyler Gibson. Great to elite throw power and good to great speed. I mean, that's pretty intriguing. And that's going to about do it for the scouting episode here at the end of week 5. We just lost to Jacksonville. We're now 1-4 on the season. I hope you guys have been enjoying the series. As I continue to say, I've been having an absolute blast making it. If you find yourself coming back over and over again, go ahead and, hit that sub button. It's completely free and it helps me out a lot. If you are liking the videos, be sure to leave a like. And let me know in the comments, who's your favorite prospect of who we looked over? Early round, late round, doesn't matter to me. Just let me know. And next week is actually our bye week. But then following that, we will be playing the Raiders. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes, and I will see you guys in the next one.